All right, YouTube, it's time for Occult Literature video number 31, The Occult Basis of ASMR. And I thought I had made this. Apparently, I was wrong. Maybe I'm thinking of an older video that I made for it. Anyway, this booklet which I wrote, this is authored by yours truly, deals with the phenomenon known as autonomous sensory meridian response and its overlap, seeming or literal, with certain aspects of the mystic world. For instance, the serpent fire, chakras, things of that nature. Its ties in with sleep in general, or with relaxation, lends itself well to a discussion of meditation. Of course, for some people, it's very difficult to meditate. You're supposed to find silence or as close to silence as possible. For those living in an urban area, it's impossible. For those like myself with tinnitus ringing in the ears, it's very, very difficult. ASMR being used as a relaxation aid really overlaps with occult practices that require a person to be at peace, that require them to be relaxed in order to do something. For instance, focusing on a symbol in order to charge it with sort of evocation, sort of a new wave sort of philosophy within demonology in general, and to a lesser extent the occult at large. But I think perhaps the biggest overlap is with Eastern traditions. Specifically the practices of the serpent fire and meditation as practiced by Hindus and Buddhists. That is that in one sense, it's used for sleep. You have the idea of astral travel sort of carrying over east to west within theosophy or something like that. But more the concept of the chakras being stimulated. Of course, ASMR is a tingling feeling. Generally, it doesn't have to be, but in general, it's described as a tingling sensation, often along the spine or in the head or in other body parts. It can be triggered by sound most often, by whispering, by certain vocal ranges, certain sounds being repeated, tapping noises, also by hand gestures. You know, you would think somebody slowly waving their hand around, that might trigger ASMR in certain individuals. Additionally, I've noticed that a great proportion of ASMR is led by females, not by males. Males are a very small minority of those actually creating such things. There's a statement to be made here about the authentic left-hand path being female-centric, not dominated solely by females, but by a feminine sort of energy, by the sort of archetype of the priestess or the witch or something like that. There's a very large amount of paranormal, especially witchcraft-related ASMR out there. I would say a extraordinarily large proportion of it is female-led. And that really has to do with the Eastern style of the left-hand path as well, because that's where that mystic energy primarily is coming from the sacred feminine, whether it's sexual or not. And there is sexual ASMR out there. I don't see that as a problem. Some people say, well, the girlfriend roleplay and stuff like that's kind of weird, the kissing sounds and so forth. I see it as part of the sacred feminine as well. Where it's male, it tends to be very masculine, almost over-masculinized, like sort of the manly ASMR with opening beer cans and ranting about car parts or something like that, as opposed to the more mystic ASMR. Whether it's role play or not, it has a tendency to be involved with sort of the feminine in a more mystic sense. So that's one thing. It ties in with the authentic left-hand path, at least as far as that goes. As far as using it as a meditation guide, I would say ASMR can be used as a stand-in, and of course, somebody who's talking about meditation or mantras or something like that, if they're from foreign areas, from like fucking Tibet or something like that, their voice may indeed, because of their accent, that may trigger ASMR too. I know Mingyur Rinpoche, his meditation guide, it does stimulate ASMR for me. And so this just ties in with it even further. Now, it has nothing to do with the subject matter. He could be talking about anything and it would probably do the same thing. But when he's trying to relax the listener, that's definitely what it's stimulating. Another thing I found is that within sort of the psychedelic world of spirituality, I've noticed an overlap between the sensation of ASMR. It doesn't cause hallucinations or anything like that, but the physical sensation, especially along the spine and in the crown of the head, really has a lot of overlap with certain psychedelic substances. I'd say mescaline, certainly. LSD to an extent, morning glory seeds, some of these more authentic, pure psychedelics. Whether they're just from nature, they're kind of processed in some way, or whether they're, technically synthetic like LSD would be, they cause similar sensations, or they can. And even the sense of relaxation is in some ways similar. So this hand guide that I wrote simply goes through my understanding of certain occult topics, overlaps them with ASMR, tries to explain sort of what they're about. Now, there is a second edition, that's the one linked into the description. The first edition was a little bit shorter, it was not in the same format. This one is slightly expanded, has a better forward. I took care of, another layer of proofreading to make sure there were no grammatical mistakes and so forth. And so it's the second edition being linked there. There's also a link in the description to my books blog where you can find many other materials, both that I've written and those that I've edited, which are even more profuse on a wide variety of topics. And there are a couple more occult videos coming down the pipeline in the coming days. That's about all. Peace out.